Commissioner Gandy,
Here.
Commissioner Campos, Commissioner Sanchez,
Here.
and Commissioner Butcher,
Here.
and Mayor Trujillo.
What did Paul tell you last time? Yeah. She probably messed up on the break. Here. Commissioner Sanchez will lead us in invocation and pledge.
Heavenly Father, we just want to thank you once again for the privilege, the opportunity to be here this evening. Thank you for your many blessings upon each one of us, families. Thank you for the men and women, Lord, that keep us safe all around the world. Thank you for each one of them for their efforts and their continuing, Lord, to be there for us. May we be there for them also. Father, tonight as we go into our agenda, we ask that you would help us, give us the wisdom, the knowledge that we need, decisions that we make that may be good, Lord, for our community, for each one of our citizens. Father, we just thank you for our commissioners, city manager, our staff, all the department heads, and all the employees, Lord, that work for the city of Lovington. Thank you for each one of them, for their efforts, Lord, for the hard work they do to keep Lovington prosperous and moving forward. Father, as we go once again to you, we want to just thank you once again, giving you the honor and glory for this opportunity. Father, we ask all of these things in the name of Jesus, thy Son. Amen.
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 Thank you.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico and the Zika symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Consideration of minutes? Do I have a motion?
I make that motion. Serve the minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Moving forward to commissioner and staff reports. Wyatt?
Mayor and fellow commissioners, just like to let you guys know that IPR LTD started today on the road resurfacing of the Slurry Seal. They did do 3 streets, which is Van Buren from A to Commercial, Love Street from Avenue D to Avenue G, and Mesquite Street, or First Street from Mesquite to Juniper. They will progress with the rest of it tomorrow all the way until May 8th. And if you guys get a chance, just run by the street and actually see it. It does about 3/8 of an inch thick and has a good coat that goes over. And so they'll just be moving forward. We did have, how James let you guys know that we did have a little over amount. So we did add in probably about another half a mile, which we're adding in 13th Street from Avenue H to Avenue D. And we talked, they're going to be giving us an estimate for square yardage from 9th Street to Main Street, right at the end of Deer Duff on Gum. So that would be the extra amount that they would be owing us. And other than that, we moving forward on Love in Washington. They're finishing out the concrete work hopefully by the end of this week, progressing to the next, and finishing up the lighting with the Bisbee Electric, just progressing with that project. And that one's supposed to be May 30th is final completion date on that. 17th Street, we're finishing out curb and gutter on the first portion, and hopefully reworking the roadway to meet compaction and progressing with that project also.
Great. Any questions from the board?
How long does it take to drive over that once it's poured?
Once it's poured, they say about 2 to 3 hours. But the crew is actually going back. They started on Love Street this morning, and then they went and finished the rest of them. And I actually got a call from the supervisor, and he said that they were taking a short little break because they did work all through the morning through lunch, and then they were going to open it up. So they progressed. They opened them up right after, I believe, about 2:30, 3 o'clock is when they opened everything up. So it roughly, when the slurry goes in, it's almost like a brown chocolate milk. And once it's dry and all the water's out of it, it actually turns that black hard. So that's when they know that it's drivable.
Okay, good.
Great.
Are they actually, you know, when they're doing that, they're actually filling those potholes too with the same stuff? Or
Actually, I would like to thank Bernardo's crew, the street crew. We're actually going ahead of them, and we're actually street sweeping the curb and gutters, getting it all prepared, and actually their crew is going in, leveling out all the potholes, so we have a flat level surface.
That's good.
Great. Any other questions? Gary, what you got?
Well, your mayor and commission have nothing truly to report except that obviously working on our budget, we need to have our interim budget submitted by June 1st. So whatever's decided today, we'll have 2 more commission meetings before we make our final decision. But of course, I prefer to have it happen on our next commission meeting. That's all I really have to share.
Any discussion? Everybody good to go? Brianna?
Nothing to report, sir.
Anna?
Nothing to report, sir.
Commissioner?
I'm fine.
Los Sanchez? Commissioner Bernardo?
I'm good. I said my piece. Quite good.
I'm good to go.
Oh,
Go
I
ahead.
did talk to James here the other day about, it was mentioned to me the other night about on 17th and Gunn, if we could talk to county or the county electric or somebody putting a light in, because you can't see that turn off at night. And it's kind of like the 17th and Avenue D, that light right there, when the light's there, you kind of know there's an intersection. But,
What
he
corner
said
was
this
it?
17th and Gunn.
You got that, chief?
But I discussed it with James here the other day. I just thought I would inform you guys.
Yeah.
He's working on something with the
Oh,
county
okay.
on that. So, but I just wanted to inform you guys so you kind of knew what was going on there.
Thank you, Commissioner. Chief?
Nothing to report, sir.
Big chief.
Another report, sir.
Patrick, sir.
Same thing, nothing to report, sir.
Thank you. Moving forward, public comment? Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the community, of the board, or the commissioners. Sorry, it's been a long day. I'm here tonight, and I'll keep it brief because of I don't want to be contagious. But as a former employee of the city, at a time in which our family needed that extra income, it was my privilege to work with the street yard and with the men that were there, as well as the men and women that serve the rest of our community. As you look forward to your budget, considering the revenues that were just presented at the LFC today, Legislative Education and Finance Committee, as well as the numbers that we're seeing in GRT and things like that, I urge the commission tonight to unify around their rank and file employees and move forward and vote for those pay raises. I greatly appreciate it. And thank you, gentlemen, for your time and attention to this community. It's greatly appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But anybody else? Okay.
All Van Cleve. I just want to encourage y'all on the pay increase. At 2 o'clock in the morning, whether your sewer's backed up, or there's water spewing out of your front yard, or you've called 911. Your only concern is having the help you need and not slighting any of you people at all. Your employees, the rank and file, the people out there are the people who truly make this town work. And I encourage you to please take care of all your service people, all of these people that you call in an emergency of any kind, includes the fire department or the police department. I wish we could give them more than what you're offering. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you. Anybody else?
I wanted to invite everyone out to the Cinco de Mayo that will be going on next Saturday. It's going to be at the Chaparral Park. Everything's set to go. We have 3 really large, good band. I mean, we've got some top-of-the-line artists. We've got 23 food vendors. We've got 5 booths just where for advertising. We have a car show that will be going on. There's a lot of activities, karaoke for an hour. We have a jalapeno eating contest. Sponsorships are going very well. Asado cook-off, Wyatt participates that in every year, won 3rd place last year. So we will be having that again this year. First prize will be $300, second prize $200, third place $100. So if anyone's interested in participating, please get with me. If you're interested in being a judge of the Asado cook-off, please let me know as well. I'd encourage you to come out and take a look at it. It's a new location, so we're trying to really blast the advertising out there. It's normally downtown, and it's a lot easier to attract people because people are driving by and they see a lot of activity. Now we're at the park. I think it's a good idea moving out there to utilize our parks. We've invested a lot of money out there, but it's going to take a lot of advertising, a lot of letting the people know that we have moved. Any questions for me?
You said there were going to be some bands coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Does Hub have the same thing the same day?
Theirs is a day after. Every year, mine's on Saturday and theirs is on a Sunday. And their advertising budget for bands is about $3,000 to $4,000. We are paying $16,000 for 3 bands. So, and the the last artist that goes at the end, he's number 3 on the top 10 charts. So he has not been in this area. He gave us a really good deal since he hasn't been here, and because he knows it's a community event.
So who are these 3 bands?
We are going to start off with a band called Conjunto Bengala. They're actually a local band, very good, very young group. And the second one is Nacho Galindo Jr. It's the son of the guy from Primavera. The third one is Jeru Garcia. It's a band out of Jalisco. So they are flying in. They're flying in from Jalisco. So we are actually, lodgers tax wise, we're reserving 15 rooms. So they are staying in Lovington. So.
I have a couple questions.
Go ahead.
Where are the bands setting up?
The way we have it set up, we're going to close the entrance and the exit this year, so we won't have any traffic. We won't have any issues with kids crossing. So we'll have the vendors line up against each side, and the stage is going to go in between, right below the flagpole. So before it splits off, the stage will be here and the DJ will be on the other side. So.
I'd love to be a judge in the Asado contest. And one more thing, I'd like to volunteer Mayor Trujillo for the jalapeno eating contest.
No.
I want to see his head beat up with sweat.
Get red. Yes.
So I'll be good.
Okay.
And Evelyn, since it's our first round out there, can you give us a report on some of the changes that we need to make? I know you're going to have a lot of generators out there and so forth.
We do. The good thing about it is that we're going to have a lot more light out there. And it's got its pros and cons to it. The pros is that we have more light. We don't have to get porta potties because we have restrooms out there. We don't have to worry about the traffic. The parking, we have a lot more parking. The cons of it is that these bands come with large tour buses. I can't get them behind the stage. So we are going to try to get them through the back and up to where George lives and have them park there, and then they would be able to get off their tour bus and get on the stage. They won't, normally a band will not come out until it's time for them to go up. So that's the only con, is that I can't get the tour buses behind the stage like they're used to. We have a beer garden as well. That's going to be located right next to the stage. But it's not very many. I mean, the pros of it as well is that kids can now play in the playground. So parents can do what they got to do, and then kids can play on the playground. We have a splash pad out there. So I mean, there's a lot of activities. We're also going to have, the youth center is hosting a volleyball tournament, so we'll have volleyball tournaments going on throughout the day as well. So it's a large event, very, very large event.
I would encourage you to still go ahead and get the Porter Johns.
I got
just
2 extras.
because the volume of people that are going to be there is, granted there is commotion there, but just a little extra would help to make it a little more convenient.
J&J Reynolds has graciously donated 2 sets of porta potties, so we'll have 2 sets. So we'll have men and women's, 1 on each side, and then we'll have the one that the city owns. I'm also having some light plants. They're letting us use 3 of them But I do have a request, or if anyone knows, I am looking for a generator. Miko Services lets me use their generator every year for the last 5 years. And this year, since work is so well, no one has one. I need, you have one?
How big?
Something that can push 3-phase.
For 40, 322 kV?
Sure. Sure. I don't know. Yeah, so I'll get with you. But other than that, that's the only hurdle I've run into. I've called everywhere, but I mean, it's a good problem to have because work is doing very well. And I can't find one that I can use, and our sound has to have a 3-phase generator. So, any questions?
The only thing that concerns me most is, since it goes into wee hours, is people crossing the road. Is there enough lighting, or are we going to designate certain areas where they can cross over? Because people will be traveling there pretty late at night. I'm worried someone get run over. I don't know if you want to address any type of lighting we have, Wyatt, or anything if we can, for them to cross, maybe 3 sections or something where they can cross. So that's my only concern.
Yes, Mayor, Commissioners, we will have the police officers out there throughout the day, so they're going to be there until it's over. So that'll help quite a bit.
Yeah. Okay. They usually rotate throughout the day, so when they're at the shift, some will come and they'll leave, and they'll rotate out throughout the whole day.
Okay. So, yeah, I'm just worried of them crossing the street, you know, the truck bypass.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'll have them keep an eye on it.
Okay, thank you.
But it's a, really good event. I encourage, like I said, I encourage everyone. The EDC makes absolutely no money. All the money that's gathered, sponsorships, is all invested back into the event.
Great.
So, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and City Commissioners. I just wanted to invite you guys. We're going to have a Brand Your Business workshop on Monday. We're going to be joining with the Chamber of Commerce to do that. We have Robin Bubay coming out to do that. And it's a great workshop for all our businesses. Basically, your brand is a little bit more than just your logo. It's not just that catchy image that you see when you think of Nike, but more of your product and what defines you. So we really want to help out the business community by getting that. There is a cost to that. It's a $30 fee, which we think is very minimal, but in the past when we've done workshops that don't charge, people don't come to them, so we always try to add a cost to it just to give it more value to you. And that'll be Monday at 5:30 at the Troy Harris Community Room.
Thank you.
Question.
Thank you.
Mayor Commissioner, Star McKee from the Lee Theater. I wanted to invite and remind y'all all we have our second dinner and a movie this Friday. We'll be watching Blockers, and dinner is provided for by Burger Builders.
Great.
We'll be having tacos. Dinner starts at 6 and the movie to follow at 7.
Thank you.
you.
Anybody else want to address? Robbie, what are you smiling for? You don't have nothing, Robbie?
I just saw that movie a
Oh.
couple nights ago. It's a step up or it's a step out, I guess I'd say, for the Lee Theater.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw it too, Robbie.
Oh, okay.
All right. We go to non-action items, Chief. Okay. Gary?
Gotta go to Gary.
If you'll bear with me.
Okay.
Your mayor and commission, our primary focus here is to really answer any questions you may have, providing you with some help as far as making a decision as to if you felt that what we presented at our budget session really covered all the bases. But one of the key things I'd bring out, and I don't have anything to show you in regards to an overview, but our basic budget as presented, as far as the general fund's concerned, would leave us a reserve of over 38%. However, of course, if we implemented the $1.50 an hour salary increases, we'd still be over a 26.5% salary increase, or cash balance in our cash reserves, which is really something important for us. We had, I can't remember what month it was, over a year ago, I believe, gone ahead and adjusted our reserve requirement for the general fund down to 20%. So we are definitely safe, whatever decisions that you may decide.
Can you remind everybody what the state requirement is?
The state's requirement is 1/12 of our budget, which we, by having a 20% reserve, would be exceeding that by, well, basically like 15%. That's like 5% of your budget.
That's what I figured, about 5 or 6%. That's what we're supposed to keep in reserve. But we have, with this adjustment, it'd be 26%.
Yes, sir. That's assuming that your commission wanted to move ahead with that. And that would be something we would encourage you to make a decision on tonight, because what we would really like is for you to go ahead and give us some direction on what you want to do with the budget. And truly the outstanding item was related to the salary and benefits in regards to what we really need to answer. But were there any other items that were outstanding that you were concerned about?
I'm concerned. We approve this, you know, if we approve this, what we're trying to pay raise, I'm fine with that. But what I'm thinking of is just a little further down the road, like maybe in July, we're gonna up the water again.
Yes, sir.
I think so. I'm thinking about all these people that say, well, look, they're getting themselves big old raises, and look, they raised up our rates. No wonder they can get a raise. That's what they're probably going to be thinking, I think. So I'm thinking, concerned for those people too, because some of them are senior citizens, or they're already retired, and their income is limited. So I know the city tries to help some of them, but that's my concern. Just that people are going to start saying, look, they got a big old raise, and then now they up the water bill so they can pay for that raise. And, that's my concern.
I'm actually glad you mentioned that, because that is a perception that's real easy for people to have. It's a lack of understanding, though, of our restrictions related to monies. We're not allowed to use that water money to pay everybody's salaries. In fact, the majority of the money that would be affecting the salary increases comes mostly from gross receipt tax. The water fund is struggling, but fortunately, and we built it into this budget, with this increase in the rates, we'll be able to meet some requirements that we're faced with related to reserves. We have 3 basic things that we have to have a cash reserve for related to our water fund. One, because we have a loan through the New Mexico Finance Authority, we have to have a minimum of 1 year's annual debt service payment, okay, which essentially is a total of approximately $350,000. Then we also have to make sure we keep a reserve in there for all the deposits that the customers have made. Right now, we're standing at a little over $400,000 in deposits. Then the third thing is, because of the loan, we have a requirement to have a capital replacement reserve, which right now is pushing close to $350,000. So if you add the 3 of those things together, we really should be maintaining approximately a $1 million cash reserve in our water fund. If we do not raise our rates, if that was something that the commission decided not to do, we would be in default on our loan, and the New Mexico the Department of Finance would have the rights to take all the revenues that we receive from our water department and dictate to us what we do with that money. We would no longer have the ability to fix water leaks, or we would no longer have the ability to replace pumps or fix the wells, because all of the money would be given to the Department of Finance to service our loan and our debt. That's the primary reason we've needed an increase in our water rates. And we've been negligent over the past decade in regards to complying with our water rate requirements. We should actually have rates that would be above and beyond what this coming rate increase is. We should actually have an additional 12% above the almost 17% that we're doing to comply fully with our loan requirements. So we have not for years been doing something that we should have done incrementally, which was increase our rates based on the cost of living index. So just making that clear to you.
Thank you for clarifying that.
I got one more.
Yes,
one more to ask you. How does that compare to cities our size as far as
Rates.
water rates?
I don't have that information in front of me now because it's been over a year since we've made a comparison with other local communities. So I couldn't honestly tell you how it compares right at the moment. But I can come back with that information to you at our next meeting if you'd like.
I think I did hear where Artesia raised their rates a considerable amount higher than we approved. I think that was an issue that took place about 6 months ago.
Oh, okay.
So we're not even close to that, even the 32%. So just keep that in mind as well.
What's sad is, and I'm trying to communicate this, is that we need to stay on top of our rates so that we stay in compliance. We have no choice. It's something that was mandated on us primarily because of environmental concerns over a decade ago when they forced us to rebuild our sewer treatment plant and then also all of the processes related to our wells. We were not in compliance with what needed to be done for giving clean water and treating wastewater over a decade ago, which forced us to get those loans. And of course, they come with strings attached.
So Gary, correct me if I'm wrong, but these increases should have taken place 10 years ago, correct?
Yes, sir.
We're not addressed at the point. That's why we're having to address it now, and we're doing it in increments. And really, that and the salary increase that we're considering are two different things.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, two different sources of revenue. One goes directly to the water department, the other one's general fund. So you're not pulling from just general fund, you got two separate accounts.
Exactly, and just so that people understand in numbers, out of 154 employees, what do we have, 20 that are supported by the water fund?
17, I believe.
Okay, 17 supported by the water fund. So the salary increase that we're talking about only affects, as far as water rates are concerned, 17 out of 150 employees.
Any other questions off the budget?
Just one thing, Gary,
Yes,
I was
sir.
just asking, I'm sure you've already done it, you and James, is to clarify and correct all the numerical issues that we saw initially?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't have those numbers with me in front of me because I have the old data.
That's fine. Thank you.
Any more questions?
Yeah, since you clarified those, what he was talking about, does that change anything?
In regards to water rates or?
To what we were talking about the other day when there were some figures that were not right?
Oh, yes.
Did you change them? You were going to change them, you hadn't changed them? And
That's correct.
There was 2 or 3 different ones that needed to be changed, but
Yes.
did that make any difference on anything? As far as rates for money?
As far as our, for example, our reserve requirements for both, and the water fund and the general fund are the two primary ones. It impacted the general fund negligibly. It would, instead of, if we implement the salary increase of $1.50 an hour, instead of 26.57% cash reserve, we'd have like 26.53% cash reserve, because yes, there was a little more that had to come out of the general fund related to cash transfers and then also direct expenses in the general fund. Because the total dollar amount was less than $100,000 on the impact to the general fund.
Any other questions? Thank you, Gary.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, moving forward to action items, do I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to consider Resolution 2018-32, adjustments to the city pay grade and classification plan.
I'll second it.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? What's it?
I was going to read basically what James had on here.
Okay, go ahead.
That was directed by Mayor Trujillo and directed staff to place this item back on the agenda for consideration by the City Commission after failure to pass on April 9th meeting due to a tie vote. So,
thank you. Any discussion?
Yeah, T, could you just kind of like give us a quick overview of what this takes what this entails.
Negative. I'm here running the computer, sir.
Can you read the computer?
Yes,
Just
sir.
a quick summary.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Basically, if the motion passes today, the city employees are looking at possibly up to $1.50 increase.
Up to $1.50 or $1.50?
$1.50.
Okay.
Immediately?
Yes, sir.
Any other questions from the board?
I'm good.
Roll call vote. Anna, please.
Commissioner Butcher,
Yes.
Commissioner Sanchez, Commissioner Campos,
Yes.
Commissioner Gandy,
No.
Mayor Trujillo.
Yes. Passes 4-1. Thank you. Do I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion, Mr. Mayor, resolution 2018-33, adoption of city cash control policies.
Second. Gary, please.
If I may, your mayor and commission, we've been in a situation where the city has needed to revise our policies related to cash controls. And these also, this policy is also addressing one of the audit findings we had in this last fiscal year's audit finding. And by your commission adopting or approving this policy for us would allow us to maintain a policy that would definitely bring us into full compliance with our annual audit. And unless you have any details about the cash control policy, that's what I have to share.
Any discussion? Question? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Do I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion, Mr. Mayor, resolution 2018-34, award of the RFP audit services.
If I may, your mayor and commission,
Second. Okay, go ahead, Gary. Jump the gun there, my friend.
if I may, your mayor and commission, we had 7 submissions from 7 different firms who were interested in performing the audit for us. And as you can see, Integrity is the firm that came in with the lowest bid. Also, when we were at the state audit ruling, Integrity was listed in the top 10 as far as auditing firms. My first concern when we had such a low bid was that, okay, you know, are they capable, would they be a reputable institution to deal with? But because they were listed as one of the top 10 or the honor roll through our state auditor, I'm assuming that they are reputable and would be worth contracting with. So our recommendation is to go ahead and award the contract to Integrity.
Where are they out of?
They're based out of Albuquerque. Now our second low bid, which is, I don't have my computer worked up to where I can really show it, would be Scott Northam, and he's out of Ruidoso. And his father worked for our treatment plant for many years. So, but he was the second low bid.
Any of those others in the top 10? Yeah.
There was another firm, Kubiak in Morton, I believe is the name of it.
Milton.
Yeah, they were also in the top 10. However, their bid was the highest.
Oh.
Any other discussion?
So actually Scott Norton and Integrity actually were the 2 highest scoring on the averages.
Yes, sir.
And the other than just price, the reason these guys scored so high?
Price is the primary reason that they scored higher than Scott Northam.
It's a long ways to drive, pretty cheap.
They bid it.
Any other discussion?
No, I'm good.
I'd rather use somebody closer, but.
that's our current recommendation. If your commission would prefer to revise this and make a different recommendation, obviously you could ask to revise this proposal.
I just like to use somebody closer, but you know, sure does get way out of. I mean, you're looking 300+ miles versus 100.
What is the cost? What is the cost?
About $6,000 difference.
6,000.
What was the cost of our last audit from the people in Roswell?
They were over $50,000. If I remember correctly, the total cost was $53,000.
Most everything's handled electronically anyhow.
Yes, a good deal is.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passed. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we do accounts payable.
I'll second it.
Here?
What's on that other hat, man?
Like you might squeeze some calories tonight.
If I may, your Mayor and Commission, I'm not sure because I was not able to see the accounts payable list on our. Are they up?
Yes.
Are you? So you are able to see page 1, 2, and 3. So I'm going to skip to, it would be page 2 of the report, just to let you know the 2 highest payments are related to debt service. The single highest payment was to Lee County State Bank for our hold harmless bond payment. This is a semi-annual payment. This payment includes both the principal and interest, so it's larger than the other 6-month payment. But that $184,000 is the bulk of our annual payment for the hold harmless bonds. Below that, the New Mexico Finance Authority, the $172,377 payment is a 6-month payment that we give to the New Mexico Finance Authority. Again, that's related to our, in this particular case, the requirement we had in upgrading our water wells and the infrastructure for bringing our water in. When you move through the list, just starting on page 1, the very first item is the AI ditching for the $1,789.39. That's a wastewater expense. There was some kind of farm pivot valve that they needed installed, and I'm not sure of the exact details of that. I'd have to ask Wyatt for more details on that one. But moving just below that, where it says the admin office of the courts, that's a standard judicial labs fee that we pay all the time. It's just the way that it's worded. It's kind of confusing. And then below that, where it says the American Supply for $1,056.40, that's a company that our youth center buys a lot of their supplies from, primarily cleaning supplies. But again, moving down on the first page, the ASCO, the SCO, our water department had a problem with their loader and it needed some repairs. So that's where that $1,600 came from. And then moving on down where it says Caprock Air Conditioning, I love mentioning them because this is the time of year when all our departments are understanding that our air conditioners need some help. In this particular case, we had an issue with both finance and the Denton building. So, am I getting ahead of you? Or are you?
No, you're fine.
No, my computer's doing its own thing tonight.
All right. And then below that, you see the Clark mosquito control product. That was purchasing all of the chemicals that we need for killing the mosquitoes over a 55-gallon drum. I know that it's at least 55 gallons. I don't know if it was more than that. And then as we move down, you'll see that, let me see, what's another interesting one? Oh, the Granicus LLC on the first page for the $7,700. That's for our new Novus Agenda software, part of our software contract. And then as we move down, we have the $59,800. That's the Harold Runnels remodel that we paid to Impact Construction for the Harold Runnels remodel. And that, by the way, was our 3rd largest expense in this particular run. And then below that, the Candy Cane water well service is significant because we don't normally pay them a lot of money, but we've had issues with our water wells. And in this particular case, well number 12, if I remember correctly, needed a new pump, and that's what that expense is for. And then as you move to page 2,
Gary, if you don't mind.
yes, sir.
Yeah.
Quick question before you go on, and I might have missed it, but what is the city of Lovington charging us for, $6,400?
Essentially, that's a situation where the city had to take some money from the EDC department to cover some health insurance costs. And for keeping our paperwork straight and using our accounts receivable process correctly, we just kind of robbed Peter to pay Paul.
That's what it looked like.
That is exactly what happened. We robbed Peter to pay Paul.
Okay, so we're good?
Yes,
Peter
sir.
and Paul are good?
Yes.
All right.
No, I'm glad you asked that question. I'm trying to be politically correct. Okay. Probably the last thing worth mentioning is the Tyler Technologies thing, and that's part of the service contract that, in this particular case, for our judicial to municipal courts and what they're paying for. That's why we have that expense for the $2274.
Not an upgrade, correct?
Not an upgrade. That's just part of their normal standard usage. Do you have any questions about anything else?
Yeah, I do.
Yes, sir.
Some of these visas,
I knew you would ask visas. They're hard to get answers to.
Especially the one with Gary Chapman on it.
Yeah, there's one. I wish I could say those were all my personal expenses, but they're not.
No, you don't want to say that, Gary.
No, let me rephrase that.
That's the last thing you want to say, Gary.
I'm not the only one that uses the visa that's in my name.
Okay.
I have so for example, with the very first visa, the one for $1,106, we had, says here, keyboard, calculator, and ink, some towels and paper towels, some batteries, water from Bob's, water from Jibo's, an expense for some kind of core that was bought at Lowe's, and then some skins for the baseball field, and new sinks for the ball, and that's as far as it goes. But that's the variety of items that are listed on there, so they're obviously operational type expenditures. And the one that's the 0999 has police labeled next to them, and perhaps I should ask the chief to address those, but I have, there was a trip obviously that some officers had to make to Santa Fe, and it was covering some travel and training expenditures on that one, just kind of for the broad overview on that.
It was the Leadership New Mexico training.
Yeah. And then the next credit card, the 1237, also is a police credit card, but again, it has things mentioned about Santa Fe as well as this Country Pride something, and I believe that's all related to the training as well, as I'm assuming you had to use a couple of credit cards for that trip. And then the next one, the 1245, there was some kind of fixed a roof on a Ford F-150, and I don't know which department that was for. And Johnny's small engine repair, there was some kind of engine repair that had to be done that we had to charge, obviously, on the Visa card. And then on the 2284, there's a variety of things, but the bulk of it is the youth center. We have, at our youth center, they have their own credit card, and there are a lot of operational costs that are purchased, supplies and materials that might be needed on, say, a more of a expedient basis than the normal purchasing process. And then with the credit card 2300, I don't know what LEG Silent Auction Gift stands for, or LEG Impact, but that's a Ana Juarez credit card, so.
Well, she could pronounce my name earlier.
But she did get some grasshopper traps. It says here some grasshopper traps and quartz tubing.
That would be the recreation department.
Yeah. As I said, while we may have our names on the credit cards, it doesn't necessarily mean we're the ones who made the expense. And then below that, the 2789, that was clearly a travel card for the fire department, probably used for something related to the ambulance service. And then on the 2797, again, that looks like one of the travel cards for the police department. and it looks like they had some kind of training they probably had to attend on that one. And then the 2805 credit card, again, that's another likely training expense for the police department. And then the 2862 is a combination of the youth center and the motor vehicle department. And looks like there were a lot of events going on at the youth center. Did you wish for me to continue the list on this, or?
One last one.
Yes, sir.
The last one's $1,811.
Yeah, the expensive one. Wait a minute. Which credit card number is that?
9942 is
okay.
for $3,000.
Okay. Yeah, there are a variety of expenditures on here that start with paying a deposit related to our Google emails that we have citywide, some Staples orders. It looks like those are the two main fees. There was some kind of ambulance inspection fees, some kind of fuel charge for SWAC. I have no idea what that is. And then I would say the main expense is related to the fact that since we've transitioned to this LECO phone thing and we now have to use Google email, it looks like the majority of the charges were for each employee's Google email. We have to pay a monthly fee for that, and it was charged to this credit card. Any other questions?
I'm good. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Do I have a motion to go into closed session?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to go into closed session pursuant to section 10-15-1, New Mexico State annotated 1978, subsection H8, regarding the purchase, acquisition, or disposition of real property or water rights, potential purchase of property for economic development project.
Second. Have a motion to second. Roll call in.
Commissioner Sanchez?
Yes.
Commissioner Gandy?
Aye.
Commissioner Campos?
Aye.
Commissioner Butcher?
Yes.
And Mayor Trujillo?
Yes. We are now in closed session.
Other than that.
This is it, sir.
Do I have a motion to go into regular session?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to go into regular session. Matters discussed in the closed session were limited only to those specified in the motion for closure, and no action was taken.
Second. Have a motion and a second. Roll call in.
Commissioner Campos?
Yes.
Commissioner Sanchez?
Yes.
Commissioner Butcher?
Yes.
Commissioner Gandy?
Yes.
And Mayor Trujillo?
Yes, we're in regular session. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor,
Okay, good. We go back into regular session.
No, I mean.
No, we're good.
We're ready.
We just miss whatever.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we provide direction to the local EDC to continue looking at the potential purchase of property for an economic development project.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Do I have another motion?
Motion we adjourn.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.